Welcome to the Original Fighter's Voice. I'm your host, Don McGuire. This is my last show after almost 27 years in radio. And the stuttering, the everything doesn't matter because you guys built me. This industry built me and created the man that's sitting in front of me. I was going to come on here today and I was going to let a lot of things off of my chest. But you know what? I took a little nap and I thought about it. I don't need to come on here and be ignorant. I don't need to come on here and be disrespectful. I created a path unlike many people in this world. And, I'm honored to have my brother, Mr. Vince Murdocco from Kickboxer on my last episode with me. You know, Vince, it's an honor to have you on here. Let people know a little bit about who you are.
Well, that's a big topic. Well, my name is Vince Murdocco, and I'm an actor, fighter, dad, etc., etc. Yeah, I'm one of many who went to California and enjoyed a nice career as an actor, and then basically back in Vancouver, and lately I've been getting inducted into the Martial Arts Hall of Fame, and I'm very honored and humbled. And I got to meet you in Dallas, and ever since then it's been a nice little roller coaster ride, and I'm blessed to be on your last show. Thank you.
Oh, it's an honor, brother. I met Vince in Dallas at an International Hall of Fame, and I fell in love with him from day one. You know, we look at life and we look at the path that we created. And 42 and a half years, 28 world champions, 13 Hall of Fames, 17 Lifetime Achievement Awards, multiple gold medallions, and none of it means crap. It doesn't.
You're right.
At the end of the day, like I said when I got inducted with Evander Holyfield and Roy Jones Jr. and them, sorry, I didn't have my PC. I didn't plan on doing the show, but we're going to make it happen. When I got inducted with Evander, Roy Jones, Winky, Shane, Arturo Gatti, Mickey Ward, Samaya Nani, and many others, it changed my life. And I got to walk out the way I came in. A lot of people in this industry don't even get to see a third of the back of the house or a third of the walk that I had. What was it like for Vince Murdocco, the man, to walk on that set of Kickboxer and meet Tang Po and realize that after that movie, your life would never be the same again, brother?
Well, you know what? I was 21 at the time, and so my first trip to California. So, the whole thing was surreal, because the ride was really different. To go back to that, it's I met Tong Po. His name's Michel Kisi. He's a great guy, and what happened was, my first movie. So I figure, I'm a fighter. I wasn't an actor. And so I looked at Michel Kisi and I said, you know what? Let's make this good. And, when we're doing contact, make sure you hit. Because I want to make sure that everybody understands this is for real. This is not a joke. And the whole fight scene was written up in the LA Times as one of the best fight scenes they've ever seen. And because we were doing it for real. I got my ribs broken in the movie, and I was sent to the hospital, and we wanted to make it as real as possible. And I wasn't too sure if I was ever going to act after this, because who knows, acting business. it's kind of nothing's for sure there. And so me and Michelle Kesey gave it our all, and it paid off. So yeah.
You know, I want to say something real quick. This is my last episode. I've given you guys almost 27 years, over 7,000 shows. We're at 55 viewers right now. Come on, let's get the comments up. Let's share this. This is the last episode that I will ever do. I got 3.5 months left to live. I gave you guys 42 years of my life. Come on, people. Let's show the world who we're about. You know, sharing is caring. You know, I always believe to put others in front of you in life. You know, my grandfather taught me, if you make your life about yourself, then your life isn't true.
That's right.
So I spent 42.5 years giving everything that I got to people that I didn't even like, people I didn't even know. You know, that's the beauty of this industry. You
Yeah.
become the greatest aspect of who you are. And people understand, people like to call me a dick. People like to say that I'm not a very nice person. This industry creates it that way. You know, and if you see all the comments underneath Vinny's chin there, I don't know what I hit. I have no idea. I'm not ignoring you. I can't see the comments. They changed the studio. I haven't been in here in almost 3 years. You know, but I do wanna take you back, man. What was it like? And I'm sorry you're gonna see my finger because I have to do certain things on the side of the screen. But you know, it may ruin the show. It may not. At this point, I really don't care. But I do want to play a video here in a second because it's a situation that I think is one of the main reasons why I'm leaving this sport. And I'm gonna go ahead and play it right now, if it'll let me.
Jockey that
What did it say?
jockey that has done a long overdue injustice to get that belt. With the help and dedication of John McGuire and Stephen Blea to push the award through the red tape and make it a reality. Today, the Bobby Chacon gift of love. Everybody, thank you very much. Very nice.
The reason I'll put the context behind that video. You know, this is one of the main reasons. That's the National Boxing Hall of Fame this last year. My adopted parents, Yaqui Lopez and Bino Lopez, were getting the Bobby Chacon Award. The gentleman you see speaking is Henry Herrera. That's the gentleman that came to me in 2024 at a meet and greet and asked me, well, would I get Yaqui Lopez his WBC world title belt? You know, Yaqui's favorite saying in life is, I don't think God ever wanted me to win a title. You know, I could be wrong, I don't think God meant for me to win a title, something like that. But the context in that video, and I'm going to say a couple bad words here because it disgusts me. That man was a WBC referee, Jack Reese. For him to grab Henry Herrera by the elbow like that, physically assault him, and basically drag him off the stage is disgusting. You know, this is what our sport has become. You know, and it's sad. We watched it. I'm not going to bring up the parameters, but we watched it through another Hall of Fame. And you're seeing it more and more and more. See, people, we got to be the change we seek. We can't be disgusting. We can't complain about our friends. We choose our friends. You're the one that pick who comes into your life. So basically, it's kind of redundant. But I'm not going to sit back and spend 42.5 years. I helped Jack in his career. I helped Bill Clinton. I helped a lot of people. But I'll be damned if I'm going to sit here as an aspect of part of boxing and a 13-time Hall of Fame verified global living legend and let somebody grab a man like that. The WBC and Jack Reese should be ashamed of themselves. The owners of the National Boxing Hall of Fame should be ashamed of themselves. See, if he would have grabbed me like that, honest to God, brother, I don't know what I would have did, but there's professionalism and the sport is lacking. It's lacking it. You know, people also don't understand that you and I are from different worlds conceptually. You know, you're from the TV side, you're an actor, but you're also a tremendous martial artist. What does it mean to you? You know, we talked about the stones on another show about laying your stones down to create your path in life. What does that path now mean to Vince Murdocco? Because I look at a gentleman that is well defined, well articulated, and a true brother. But on the backside, you won't say it publicly, but you truly gave up your career, in essence, to take care of your family, to help your family and their business in Vancouver, BC. What does it mean for Vince Murdocco, not the martial artist, but the man, to put his life to the side for his father?
Well, you got to think family's number one in my books. So I'm raised Italian, so there's nothing more important than family. When I went to California, my family put their lives on hold for me. So you know what? There's nothing more important than family in this world. So to me, I didn't put my life on hold. I just went back to my real life, and raising a family as well, and that's what life's about. Life's about being with people that you care about, and spending time with them. You know, when you're in LA, it's a different story. There's a lot of people from all over the world that go there, and no one really has family there. You know, there are a few, and the ones that are established, but most people come from everywhere else to come to LA. So really, there's no family, as in brothers, sisters, and that's what's lacking. That's why that people over there, they suffer a little bit because they have no backup. They don't have anybody to turn to, and so then they make the wrong decisions. So I'm very blessed to have spent the time there and had the support of my family. And just coming back is important. It's important because you see, there's nothing, you don't want to miss your family, and being home is the best thing for me. And there's fortunate for me, there's lots of filming here in BC. And the opportunity comes here and there when you want it. So I'm very blessed to be back.
You know, Vince, in life sometimes, I always use the analogy that a car has a great big windshield and it has that small rear view mirror.
Mhm.
That rear view mirror is only meant to be, well, when you have situations like where I'm at, where I have 3 months to live, federal hospice. You look back here over your shoulder to see where you started, what you've become, and to look at memories. If you had to look back in that rear view mirror and define Vince Murdocco in a statement, what would that statement be, my brother?
You know what? That's a tough one sometimes. That rearview mirror is still catches your eye every once in a while, even though you got a big windshield in front of you. Being in Vancouver, it's beautiful. There's nothing better than being in Vancouver. We got green trees, we got lakes, we got everything, and we got good people too. So when I look at that rearview mirror every once in a while, I see friends. I see a lot of things that I didn't do when I was driving through that world, but I have no regrets. I have a great set of friends, including you, and just as if I'm gonna make a mistake or go the wrong way, guys like you and my friends and my family put me in the right direction. So you know what? The less I look at that rearview mirror, the happier I am. And so I'm just looking forward, my friend. And every day is a blessing.
Amen. The last couple of days, well, last couple months, you've got to meet two of the greatest icons in the industry, that both love me more than life itself. You got to meet one of my mentors, greatest man I could say as a mentor and as a brother, Mr. Burt Watson.
Mhm.
And you've got to interview him 3 times, and you got to meet my dad and my mom. You know, Yaki Lopez
Yeah.
and his wife Bino. I remember that day so much in my heart when we were in Dallas, and for some reason we correlated, you and I.
Yeah.
And I told you started to walk away from the picture, and I told you get your skinny white ass back in the picture, and the rest has been history. You know, you did a deep dive on me, and we did a show together, and you ultimately came out with a mini documentary, I guess you could say, about me. When you looked into that, what did you find out about Don McGuire, and how would you perceive the walk that I carried in this industry?
Well, you know what? You are unbelievable. You've done so much. Um, I went into the rabbit hole, and let me tell you, I found thousands of pictures of you with people that are legends. Each one more shocking than the other. You had pictures with everybody from Holyfield to you name it. You could there wasn't anybody that I has watched as a kid in boxing and in any type of fighting that even the MMA that you hadn't taken a picture with. Not only that, they also opened your show. Hi.
Yeah. You know, it's that part of this industry that is the most special, that nobody sees. See, most people don't realize I was gone 40 out of 52 weeks a year.
Yeah.
And I've been sick for 30 of my 42 years on one leg for 26 of my 42 years. And I never fucking complained.
Yeah.
You know, see, the problem with life is everybody wants to make something an issue. Well, you know what? I was going to come on here tonight and rip everybody an asshole. I really was, you know, and I took a nap and I woke up and I realized I'm better than that.
Fuck yeah. For sure.
You know, when I look back to the last time I got attacked, I walked into an international Hall of Fame with pride. Then I got attacked again. I walked into the London International with pride. I don't know what this sport sees in me,
Mm.
nor do I honestly care. I'm not here for the promotions. I'm not here for the glory. I'm here for the fighters, and I'm here for the fans. I'll tell you what I said in my 2024 National Boxing Hall of Fame induction speech. I looked at Evander Holyfield and Shane and James Toney, Mike Weaver, and everybody, and told them we wouldn't know each other if it wasn't for the fans.
That's
I said
right.
they buy the tickets, they pay for the pay-per-views, they're even in attendance today. I said we didn't create this sport. The fans did.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just a problem in life. If you just look at that statement, everybody wants to be I. But
That's
but
right.
at the end of the day, it's always a team. Even that fighter that steps in the ring, you know, he says, I won. No, you didn't win the fight. You fought, but it took a team to create you.
Hmm.
See that's the difference. You know, I'm embarrassed that I have to come on a show and look like this, sound like this.
Well, you look
But you
good.
know what? I always look good. but the thing about it is I love these people.
Yeah.
For 42 years, these people on the show, and I'm sorry I can't read your comments live on the air. I screwed up, but I want you guys to know from the bottom of my heart, I was self-taught, self-made, and you guys brought me into this industry with open arms. And all it takes is just to be real, bro. That's the easiest part about it. You just got to be you.
Yeah.
See, I told you I was going to make you cry
No, you're not.
on on tonight's show. I might give you a little reprieve, but you never know. You know, we've already
You
been
know,
on here.
it's
She
just 20
usually
minutes.
tells me how long I've been on here. It doesn't even tell you 20 minutes.
20
You,
minutes.
you know, I haven't done a show in years.
Yeah.
You know, I did that interview with you, but I've been so embarrassed of the way I sound. You know, my brain is locked down. My kidneys are gone. I'm terminal. My kidneys are completely gone. My pancreas is gone. My spine is deemed terminal. And I'm still sitting here because I love you
You
guys
look
for
good.
what you guys gave me. You know, I didn't want to leave this industry without telling everybody thank you. You know, you guys have created some of the greatest memories in my life. I would never have met my brother Vince Murdocco if we didn't have Paris.
That's
You
right.
know, it's the small things in life that we have to pay attention to. And am I embarrassed that I sound like this? You betcha. But you know what? You guys deserve to hear from me one last time. For me to share one last show. You know, this is almost 3 decades of shows that I've done, and you know,
So,
I wanted every show to be perfect. You know, sanctioning bodies, other people in the industry told me, Don, you can't. We don't want you to do a show. We don't want you to ruin your legacy. Well, you know what? This is my legacy. Nobody's going to tell me when I can talk, how I can talk, and who I can talk to. See, nobody understands how this works. You know the back of the house. You know how things work. But Vinny, I want to take you back for a second. You watched an interview that I did with Gentleman Jerry Cooney,
yes.
and you said that video when I was Don McGuire, you know, I wasn't brain damaged and hurting and everything, but you watched that video and you found something inside of my work
Hmm.
that forever changed the way you perceive things about me. And
Yeah.
that created the deep dive. What was it in me? What was it in my work that had you dedicate so much of your time? Because people, you may not know who this man here on my show is, but you're going to by the end of the night. You know, this man has done so much in the entertainment industry, in the martial arts industry. He's a multiple Hall of Famer. And I think you just got a living legend, didn't you? Or the greatest of all time?
Yeah, the goat.
Tell us a little bit about that, bro.
Well, you know, let's
Come
talk
on,
about
toot
you.
your own horn. Come on, toot your own
Well,
horn, bro.
yeah, I've been very fortunate. Through all my accolades and everything I did, basically, people have been recognizing what I've done and how I've changed people's lives, just like yourself. And I've been getting award after award. I got the greatest of all time, just July 25th, and so that's huge. And
I got it. It only took me a year, right?
yeah, that's right. But back to you with the aspects of what you did with Jerry Cooney. What you do when you speak to people is you slowly get them to be themselves and feel comfortable. And once they're comfortable, you're like a can opener. You open it up slowly, but you do. And what happens is they feel safe enough to let you know how they feel and what they've gone through. And you've gone through a lot in your life and you're still going through it right now. And they know that. And so they're able to release what they have in their lives, which is very personal. And I found with Jerry Cooney, You know, he said some amazing things because you could relate to him. And so once somebody feels that they're in that same realm, you know, it becomes a real conversation. And so you do have that gift, and you just say it the way it is. And your guests, you know what? It turns out to be an amazing show. And I recommend anybody who hasn't seen it take a look at it. Don McGuire and Jerry Cooney. It's quite touching.
You know, it bothers me tonight that the brain damage is so bad that I can't figure out how to work my own studio. But at least I was able to get us where we're at right here.
Yeah.
You know, you had an opportunity with my mentor, a man that has taught me for 40 years in this industry, Mr. Burt Watson.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people love him on here because we chop shop. But see, you had a different aspect, and this is what I love about Vince Murdocco. You really do your homework, and you found out that Burt Watson had aspects with Nelson Mandela, Larry Holmes, the United Nations.
Yeah.
But before we get to that, how how grateful were you that not did you just screw up once, you screwed up twice, and the iconic Burt Watson gave you a third opportunity. Usually in this industry, we call it baseball, but you only get two strikes. What does that third pitch mean to you?
Well, it's just in case no one knows what's going on. What happened was I was interviewing Burt Watson, and I forgot to press record the first time, and because I thought it was running on its own. And then I had to phone Bert and tell him, Bert, by the way, I didn't get that. It was a great interview me and him had. And so I phoned him up and I said, okay, let's do it again. He says, let's get at it, Vinny. We do the second interview, and I thought it was recording, but it wasn't again. And so twice I recorded an hour show, and
You froze on me. See, this is a great thing about live shows is you got to be prepared when something happens.
that's
You
right.
know, you back, Vinny?
I'm back.
You
Yeah.
froze. Go ahead and
For
go
some
waste
reason,
my time.
yeah. So then after that, I phoned up Bert and I said, Bert, can we do a third one? Don jumped in and says, listen, let me put it on my podcast so we catch it. And so we had a great show. And Bert's a great guy, you know. And by every show I got to do that was not recorded, I got to meet Bert a bit better and understand who he is as a person. And that third show, right out of the park. And if you guys haven't seen it, it's Kicking It with Vinny is my podcast, and Burt Watson's my guest, and I've had Don McGuire as my guest, and I gotta say I'm very blessed. And I didn't do it live because I wanted to give a little bit more, you know, and show who these people are. And when you see the show, you'll understand that I'm glad that I did it. And I just got a call from Burt Watson today because he says he watched it one more time today, and he says, Vinny, it was unbelievable. And coming from Bert, you know what? That's a huge compliment.
Yeah,
So
you know that last 5 to 10 minutes for me because it included me. You know, you didn't have to add that retrospect, but you know the backside
yeah,
of me and Bert. And you know, I'm going to let everybody know right now. You know, see, there's my adopted grandfather's Artie Lamparella, and then Yaki Lopez, although Yaki Lopez and his wife adopted me, and I didn't know that Bert had already assumed that he thought I was his son. You know, he considered me his son. I didn't know. You called me, MMA Junkie. Other people called me, and you know, at the end of the day, I love Bert, but I love Yaki as a father. And see, it's hard for me because I never had a family. So to try to have family come at once, it kind of got different because you know a lot of people say, oh they're only there because you're dying. Well, no, that's not true. They've been here for years. I just didn't share it. You know, the greatest secrets are kept in your heart and cherished in your heart.
Yeah.
Yaki Lopez, I so thoroughly love as a father. You know, and Bino, his wife, I she told me that she felt like I came out of her, and I'm a grown man. My own mother didn't even really love me. So to have Yaki Lopez and his wife reach out and come out to my, sorry about that, I aspirate, yet I'm paralyzed in my throat. But to have them include me into their family, it changed my life. I never knew what it was like to be loved. And then they introduced me to their sisters, and one of them being Patsy. And there I found my nerd, my equal nerd. You know, because I have a very high IQ. It's just a cognitive IQ. But between them and the family, I had a thing. Now I have a grandfather, and rest in peace, Grandma. I have a grandfather in Artie Lamparella from the beginning of the industry. I think he was the one who built the caves for the cavemen. You know, he's been around that damn long. And you know, then Bert and Yaki and now Patsy and the whole Lopez family and and the Cruz family, it changed my life because I didn't know what it was like to be loved. People don't know that I was an unwanted child.
Hmm.
People don't know that I was beaten and molested between the ages of 5 and 7. I'm not ashamed. I'm not afraid to talk about it.
Hmm.
Nor would I change my life.
Yeah.
You know, I came back from military school at the age of 16 to my mother saying, "What the f do you want from me?" And I didn't have much money, and I was homeless on a porch stoop. And if you don't believe that God exists after this, then I can't freaking help you because I was sitting on a porch stoop, and this man comes up and offers me a job and a place to stay, and his name was Donald L. Messner, Messner, and he created a church in California called Capital Christian Center. Built it, ran it, his whole family. I went to work for this man in this construction company. 3 months later, he said, "Get cleaned up, kid. You're coming home for dinner." And I came home and I saw the most beautiful woman in the world in the corner. I've been with her for 45 years. I've been married to her for 43, and I have a 40-year-old son from her. This woman, any woman would have left me years ago, but this woman has stood by me through thick and thin, being gone 40 weeks a year, being sick for over 30 years now, 255 surgeries, and now I'm dying on her. You know, people say, "Oh, well, he's on a show, he's not dying." You don't know shit about me. You know, see, that's the thing is everybody always wants to open their mouth because they think they're a fucking expert. You're not. You know, I don't have to be on this show. I didn't plan on doing another one. But I think the people of this industry that built me, stood by me, held me up. You know, I shot Zach Cummings' fight against Lamont Stafford with 457 staples in my abdomen on a Saturday night when I had my gallbladder, my appendix, part of my spleen, 10 feet of my intestine, a feeding tube put in, and a brand new belly button. And I was there shooting the weigh-ins, and I shot the fight on Saturday with 457 staples in my abdomen. It wasn't the first time. See, one thing Terry's grandfather, and I'm going to teach everybody that is younger than us, because this is the only way you're going to succeed. If you create responsibility, then you take care of your responsibility, sick or not. Terry's grandpa, one day I was sick as a dog, bro. Green all night, puking. Grabbed me by my pant loop and by the back of my neck, and he drugged me and threw me in the truck. And he made me go to work. He made me work for 17 hours digging all day long. Came and picked me up, said, did you learn anything? I said, "Yeah, that you're an asshole." The wrong answer. He said, when you create responsibility, you take care of your responsibility. I said, I don't want no other man calling my granddaughter her husband. I don't want my grandson calling some other man his dad.
Mm.
See, that's the reason I'm where I'm at. It's not because I'm the greatest photographer in the world. I'll admit that. I see others work that's better. But it's perception. See, I don't go to pre-parties. I don't go to after parties. But I tell you what, I will bend over backwards to give the fighters every opportunity. You'd be hard pressed to find a single fighter that I've ever taken a dime from. You know the reason why? Because Terry's grandpa said to give to these people what he gave to me. Well, he gave me a life, bro. He gave me a family. And I'll tell you what, I've never felt more loved than I do right now. You know, I'm dying, and it doesn't scare me. You know, people say, oh, well, God, you know this. People don't understand when your kidneys are shot and you're immunocompromised, you can't have dialysis. You can't have chemo. You think I want to die, bro? You think I want to leave my wife? You think I want to leave these fans, the sport, these fighters? No, because everybody's going to dick them. Just like BKB, BKFC, all these bare knuckle promotions, they're making all the fighters subcontractors. They think because the Glove Act in the Muhammad Ali Act got changed, that now they can make all these fighters subcontractors, and that's bullshit. They are ripping these kids off. I know for a fact BKB only pays $1,000 a show in the UK, and if you don't sign a new contract, they don't let you fight. And you got to pay for your own medical. This sport, I tell you what, man, the people that own BKB need to go back to NASCAR. That's the only thing I'm going to say. You know, because if I start getting on this rant, I'm not going to stop, bro. All I'm saying is this sport needs to treat these fighters better. These promoters need to stop trying to rip them off. You know, everybody wants to complain about a politician. Why don't you look at yourself in the mirror? You're no different. You're more worried about packing your pocket than the people that's willing to die in the ring for you. That's pretty pathetic. You know, it's pretty sad that money means more than life. You know, what is a fat wallet going to get you when your ass is 6 feet under? You know, The thing about life is it's not about us. We have to be the change that we seek. What is the change in Vince Murdocco's life that he truly seeks?
Well, you know what?
Don't laugh at me, you Canadian. You tree tackler.
You know what? It's hard to focus here, but you know, I'm not too sure. What was the question again, sir?
Are you really you get that old timer's disease?
I hope not, but if I do, that's why I got you to give me back that question. What was the question? Because you got me all wrapped up in the bare knuckle of the guys fucking, you know, getting beat up, and then they're not getting any money, and it's been going on for hundreds of years, you know.
In the UK maybe, but not here. But
well,
you know, it's starting to.
Because you know what, without the fighter, you don't have no show, and the fighters, you know, like Burt Watson said once. He said to me, he says the reason why he started caring about the fighters was that there was a kid who went to a show, got $50 a round, and he had to pay for his own medical. The medical was $120-something, and the kid couldn't even get home after he won. And after
he had money too.
Yeah, so ever since then, you know, Bert raised money for that, and so then the kid went home finally, but Bert had to use his own money. So ever since then, Bert has always, you know, made sure that would never happen again. And you know, what you're saying is the same thing. It's unfortunate, and hopefully people step up to the plate and start taking care of people that are less fortunate. And what I've
Well,
learned, what I've
here's the
seen with
thing,
you
bro.
is that you have to, step up. People got to step up, and they
Well,
are. People
here's the thing, brother. Here's the thing. I've already stepped up. You know, dying or not, you know, on federal hospice, all they want to do is give you coughing drugs. It's basically forced murder on the federal side. They take all your doctors, they take all your medicines, and they want to cram narcotics. You know, you've walked this path with me.
That's right.
I find it better to get out of pain on still continuing to work issues in this industry. You know, Tim Shipman, the state of Florida, ABC commission. I'm coming after all commissions. You know, I'm going to fight for these fighters till the day I die. This is bullshit, bro. They are ripping these kids off. They barely pay them anything to begin with.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's not going to sit right with me because this is what I've done my whole career. You know,
Yeah.
I've gave 85% of what I made in this industry back to the industry. You know, I'm like that. I'm not like that bare knuckle promotion in Florida where I'm only married in Florida. You know,
Mhm.
I don't go around and leave my state and screw people over. I don't do things wrong. You either be real or get the hell out of this industry. And these kids deserve an opportunity. There's a fighter named Harrison Gigliotti. I was accused of coercing him to quitting that promotion and going to work for another promotion. It wasn't me, bro. He put out a statement that it wasn't even me. The promotion didn't want to pay him over 12 grand and they didn't want to give him insurance or an incentive. How are you not going to pay a four-time world champion over 12 grand and refuse to give him insurance? See, this is the problem in this industry. You know, they want to fill their pockets. They say they care about the fighters, but they don't.
Mm.
See, what us old timers in this industry, like when you learned with Bert, it's not our sport anymore. You know, all we could do is train people like Nate Rand and others to do the right thing. And hopefully they can carry the torch like we did for 40, 50, 60 years. You know, I don't want to see the sport fade. I don't want to see boxing go away. I don't want to see any aspect go away. But I tell you what, I'm also tired of Turk and Dana and all these people. You know, they need to get a real heavyweight champion because without a real heavyweight champion, boxing's crap.
You're right.
Yeah, and I don't want to see the same five heavyweights that we've been watching for the last 5 years fight each other. None of them can fight. You know, and I'm not knocking boxing. I'm speaking the truth. I guarantee you, my pops, Yaki Lopez, at his age, I bet you he can come back and become the heavyweight title holder in boxing because he still eats the same way he used to. He still trains. I mean, I don't know, man. It's like I don't see how people give people like Floyd Mayweather the GOAT title. I'll go in there and run around for however long it takes. I'll run from you. I'm not saying that Floyd didn't fight, but when you look at Yaki Lopez, Willie Pep, James Toney, Mike Weaver, Bruce the Mouse Strauss, Kelly Pavlik. I mean, I can keep going. Virgil Hill. That's another thing. Hey, Virgil, why don't you tell people, brother, that you're not born in North Dakota, Bismarck, North Dakota. You're born in Clinton, Missouri, 45 minutes from where I'm sitting right now. I just love to crap on him because 8 years ago, almost 9 years ago, bro, I was sitting in this very spot. And he was sitting right where you're at. And I had a heart attack during the show.
Wow.
And a year later, after the heart attack, we called it the anniversary, and I brought him back on. You know, but I want to ask one thing that you took away from that Burt Watson interview, because it touched my heart. What was it at the end of the show that had Vince Murdocco ask an iconic legend like Burt Watson what Don McGuire meant to him?
Well, I went through thousands of photos that you had of you and everybody else. There's only one picture that you were smiling. And that picture was with Burt Watson. So I had to ask you the question after going through all these pictures was, why smile with this guy and nobody else? And you told me that Burt Watson, he's your mentor. And you know what? Said it all. Not many people actually can affect your life in that type of aspect. And so then Bert explained to me that you're like his son, and so part of the family. And it was a great ending to a great interview, and it just got better. And
it made me cry, bro, because he said Don McGuire is my go-to guy. He said for 40 years, he's the one I can go to, and I never have to sweat about it leaving him. And then you asked him about his family, and he said, "Yeah, me and my wife and my kids, we're always together. We're always talking." And he said, "And that includes Don McGuire."
yeah,
That touched my heart. You know, to have Artie Lamparella, Yaki Lopez, Bino Lopez, Patsy, Burt Watson and his family, James Tony and Scotty, the dot that I've created, and you're my newest addition. What does it mean for you? Because we're brothers. We talk every day. I'm not going to keep it from anybody.
no, for sure.
I have a lot of friends in Canada, but what does it feel like to do this last episode with me, knowing that there will never be another show done by Don McGuire, that the original fighter's voice will be handed off to you. This studio, this station will now become yours. I'm passing the torch to you, my man. I never thought in a million years that I would entrust somebody with my baby,
Yeah,
but I found that in you. See, true sincerity is unspoken.
yeah,
True love is felt, not spoken. So, with that being said, what does Vince Murdocco feel knowing that I gave my journalism legacy to you, my platform to you? What does it mean that you're the one that I'm allowing to carry my torch and keep sharing this beautiful world that we both love? Well, what does it mean that I'm handing my walk to you?
well, first
Made you cry.
you did it. You had to do it. Anyways, it's an honor, buddy. It's a real big honor, and you know, I won't let you down.
You never have, bro, and you never will. That's the beauty about life is, I'm glad you're not like all these other people that want to go talk shit about me and say I never did anything. You went and did a deep freaking dive and did a mini docu-series on me. Everybody, the crazy thing about life is nobody likes the truth, but they love a lie. And, I don't open my mouth. I don't disrespect anybody. I was going to, like I said, I was going to come on here and shred some ass tonight.
Yeah.
Because I'm a quiet man and I get crapped on a lot.
Yeah.
But you know what? My mom, my pops, my Aunt Patsy, you.
Hey, I want to say a shout out to, before those comments were underneath me, they were gone now, but I saw Nate's name there. I want to shout out to Nate. Peace, brother. You know what? You're a good man. And anybody else that's commented, I want to thank you very much. I wish we could see them and answer them, but you're not forgotten, and thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Well, you deserve it, bro. You know, I've never met anybody as compassionate, as caring, and as dedicated to family as you.
Thank you.
See, when I look at what relationship you and your father have created, not very many people would give up their life to help their parents. My son did it. You've done it. I admire my son more than anything in the world because of what he did. Because you know they were trying to take me and put me in a home. They were trying to snub me out, you know, in a
That's right.
hospital.
That's right.
And my family decided to have me die at home.
Yeah.
And you know, it broke my heart because my son came to me and said, Dad, I know when this happens, I'm going to fall. But he said, I promise you, I'm only going to fall on one knee because I got to get back up because I got to pick mom up. You know, Vince, you've watched this progress. You've seen the pictures that I don't share publicly.
Yeah.
You know the pain that I'm living. You know that this is a front right now. What would you like to say to these people as my brother? Explain to them, in your words and in your thoughts, how hard this is for me even to be here this evening.
Wow. You shouldn't be here. It's amazing. It's amazing that you have lived this long. I tell you, you know what? You were in a bad place, and I didn't think you had long to live. And look at you now, man. You're amazing. You're exactly what the will of a human being is. When you put your mind to it, you can't be beat. And you're not done telling your story. And until you tell the story, I don't think you'll be at peace. And hopefully after tonight, we've got a little bit of closure and a few things. And then when we get on our phone call to each other, we'll do what we got to do. And but I'm blessed to have you. And the world is blessed to listen to you for your last podcast. And it's tough.
It's hard as hell, bro. I it's tearing me apart because you can't control when your life's taken from you. I didn't want to come on here stuttering, but you know what? It's not about me.
Yeah.
It's about the people that created me. It's about the people that are on here. It's about the people that love you and follow you. See, most of these people don't even know I've had pneumonia, fungal pneumonia for 7 months, that my skin is splitting all over my body.
Yeah.
You know, they don't know that I've been in the hospital for the last 2 days.
Yeah.
You know,
You have no clue.
I'm a very quiet man. You know, I'm an introvert, but you know what? Today is the day that I have to let people know why I'm leaving. It's hard. I don't want to die, bro.
I know.
I don't. But we all die. We're all born with an expiration date. But they're taking me by. At the time, I was getting ready to enjoy my family. I never got to enjoy my family, but I've never blamed God. See, this is where people don't understand. Faith can overcome mountains. Faith can overcome hills. If you believe with all your heart in our Lord and Savior, then triumph is imminent.
For sure.
You know, I'm not afraid of dying. I'm afraid of leaving the ones that I love.
Yeah.
You know, I put 80 grand into my house, getting it prepared for my death, thinking I had a year and a half left to take care of finish paying it off. Well, I didn't get there. But I tell you what, I got crapped on by a lot of people, and it didn't change my walk in this industry, but it had me put people at arm's distances. You know, I have a brother that you know of. You know for the past 12 years. See, this is what's great about family being on your show, because you can be vindicated.
Yeah.
You know, this man, the last Hall of Fame, we had to clean up a mess, and I'm not going to go too deep into it. We had to clean up a mess, and I brought it to someone's attention, and you know, I said we can't save everybody, but we did save quite a few people.
Yes.
But then when it came to the aspects trying to get my stuff, after the other people already got theirs, one sole person said I was a vindictive asshole.
Yeah.
There's no vindictiveness there. I helped your people get all of their stuff. I even you guys even put them into the London International to make up for the mistake.
Yeah.
And when it comes time for you guys to help me, I become a vindictive asshole. See, but this is the great part about this sport. Is there's real, there's in between the lines, and then there's just straight up bullshit.
There's my bunny.
And, oh, that's the bunny.
That's the bunny everybody talks about. See, everybody not gets to see him, but he just came to me right now. That's my bunny. Cute, eh?
So cool. Yeah, at least you're not like Quentin Rampage Jackson. He has a dog that weighs about 1.5 pounds and it has a green mohawk. I'm sure you've seen the picture. You know, it's so funny. I've known Quentin Rampage Jackson forever. I shot his fights, and then he has me come out to AJ McKee's birthday party in Long Beach. You know, and I was out here, so they flew me out there for AJ's birthday. And we get to the gym, and he goes, "Man, pick my dog up. His feet's gonna burn." And I look down, this thing ain't even no taller than my ankle, and it has a green mohawk. And I'm looking, and I'm going, why do all the biggest men in the world have the littlest freaking dogs, but then one of the most baddest men I know has a bunny?
Well, you know.
You know, it's just, you know, this 42 years has been beautiful, bro.
But
It truly has. You know, I don't want to die. I don't want to leave you people. But
yeah.
just remember what I've done in this world. Remember the change and the difference that I made. I'm
Sure.
not perfect. I'm perfectly imperfect. I've never claimed to be perfect. But I'm married all over the United States, not just in Florida.
Yeah.
You know, see, I could really go to a place that I don't want to, and
And we're not.
it's not going to happen.
No.
You know, the beauty of life is I had no family. I had nothing my whole life. And then Yaki and his wonderful family and his beautiful, my beautiful little sister, Gabby, as my Aunt Patsy says, Tyreka, because she likes to tell her mom to blow it out her ass. But I never knew what it was to have family. And so thank you to those. Thank you to Yaki. Thank you, Bert. Thank you, James, Tony, Scotty, you.
Don. And
Huh?
Brian.
Oh, Brian Halderson's the shit. You know, I'll explain this real quick.
Yes.
Brian Halderson is from Drayton Valley, Canada. And he ranks higher than anybody else in my life. Why don't you tell them the story, how that came, Vinny? You were doing the docu-series on me, getting info and doing the deep dive, and you asked me who was the most special person to me in the world.
Yeah. So Brian Halderson came up. I said, "Who's Brian Halderson?" He goes, he's the guy who's changed my life. And so I got a hold of Brian, or I just left him a message. He called me so fast, and he was the one that started the ball rolling. I said, I need a picture of you. And he says, all right, here you go. And then from then on, everybody cooperated with me on your little podcast and found out all the information I needed about you. And he's the number one guy. And you know what? I love him too. You know what? You can't get a straight shooter like that, and he'll tell you the way it is. And basically, you know, it's about loving life and being fortunate, and to be humble, and to understand that every day we above ground is a blessing. And who are you to say different?
Amen. You know, I'm gonna give a statement. I'm gonna cut tonight's show. We've already been on an hour, but I'm gonna wrap things up here,
Okay.
and then I'm gonna ask you one more question.
Okay.
You know, to every fighter, to every coach, to every trainer, to every bell ringer, every part of the commission, every part of the back of the house, thank you for letting me be a part of your life. Thank you for allowing me to be who I am. I want to share one thing, and I got one leg, and I can't move very far, but it's just to the side of me right here. Um, right here. Ow, ouch. Um, ow. Um, this right here means more to me than anything in the world. You flip it around, and it's serialized, and this medal goes back to the WBC when I passed. But the significance of that medal truly changed my life, because I'm the only photographer in the history of combat sports ever to get that medal. And I still don't know why I got it to this day. They tell me because of my love for the fighters. You know, I go back to the Crystal Cathedral in the United Kingdom, and Frank Bruno, and the early days of bare knuckle, and Jimmy Finn in Ireland, and the creator of women's boxing, and the promoter that created women's boxing, Diane Fisher, who I was inducted with both of them. See, the greatest part about the sport is the family we create, and we only get to see very so often. Now, when we were in Dallas, while my pops, Yaki, we were supposed to go like 4 minutes away from the hotel. Our lift was already in Dallas, Fort Worth before he realized we weren't even nowhere near where we were supposed to be. So $120 later. But anyway, that day that we got inducted in Dallas, how bad did you want to kick Tang Po's ass? Would you freeze again, Vinny?
Back quickly. Yeah. You know what? That's funny. You know, I'll be honest with you, not that bad, no. You know what, Tom Po, Michelle Kesey was so generous. What he did is he called me up on stage. He says, I killed this guy 40 years ago. And for some reason, he's sitting down over here in front of me. He goes, I like to bring up Vince Murdocco. And you know what? That was touching, because, you know, we're talking 40 years. We were kids. And it's a special moment, because we gave everything we got. And it was definitely a big honor. And I love him. Still a good guy, and we still keep in contact. And I wish him the best and future stuff. And you know, it's funny how Hollywood's going to 360 now. They're calling back all the old guys. That's us. But they're calling us up. And listen, we're coming back with a vengeance, because you see what's happening is today doesn't mean anything to anybody, and there's no oomph.
there's
So
no substance to
that's right.
movies anymore.
Yeah.
You know, I just worked with a director and a producer that her first movie was Fried Green Tomatoes.
Yeah.
They're doing a docu series on called Prison Fights, and I just created with my mom and the family, and we were able to get Billy Spear from LA to Stockton on her. You know, this is what she wanted to do. She brought, you know, a film crew down, came in and put my pops into the movies. And you know, this past 5 years, even before they even wanted to adopt me, you know, there was something I felt in my heart about Yaki that I've never felt for anybody. And when Henry Herrera asked me to help get his belt, I didn't know who he was talking about. But when he mentioned Yaki, I said, consider it done.
Yeah.
And you know, the beautiful thing about Yaki Lopez, God didn't make two of them.
That's right.
God definitely didn't make. Well, if you ask my mom, she'll tell you, yeah, because me and Yaki are a lot alike. But the sport wants to say I'm more like her father, Jack Cruz, in my mannerisms, but I look more like her brother, John L. But at the end of the day, I have family.
That's right.
I have purpose. Yes, does it bother me that I may not wake up tomorrow, but you may not wake up tomorrow.
That's right.
So at the end of this, I want to just say I didn't give you guys 42 beautiful years. You guys gave me 42 beautiful years. You guys changed my life. You allowed me to become comfortable in my own skin. You know, I was like I told you, I was beaten and molested as a child. I didn't, my family didn't want nothing to do with me. But I took lemons and I made lemonade.
Yeah.
And you know what? If I had to do it, I would do it all over again.
For sure.
You know, to the Lopez family, the Cruz family, the Burt Watson and his family, the James Tony and his family, Scotty Olson and his family, Kelly Pavlik, the ghost, and everybody. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of your life. Thank you for letting me share and be a part of your journey. As my book closes, your book will begin. And as I taught my brother Vinny, whether it's good or bad, you have to set those stones down to create, on bended knee to create that path that we got to walk. Not every stone is going to be perfect. Not every opportunity or aspect is going to be ideal. But you got to take the good with the bad and overcome. I can't beat this battle. I I want to, but I can't. But I'm content with it. I'm not afraid to die. I'm just afraid of leaving the ones that I care about the most behind. You know, Vinny,
Yep.
you're a true brother.
Love you, buddy.
I don't know if I could have made it this last 6 months. Uh, you know, because these people don't know what's going on with me.
That's right.
You do.
Yeah.
I don't share,
No worries.
but you changed my life, bro.
Thank you.
That's why I wanted you to be on this last show with me. That's why I want you to continue your voice on this platform. I just find that you're one of the truest brothers, like Brian Halderson. You know, everybody always asks me why are most of my friends Canadian? I can't answer that question. Maybe I was meant to be Canadian instead of Indian. I don't know. I just take people for what they're worth.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I've never felt more loved and appreciated than I do now. Now I will say one statement before I wrap things up.
Yeah.
Mike, Dave, uh, all the people that have been attacking me, it doesn't hurt me. I'm not mad at you
That's right.
because at the end of the day, I never opened my mouth because I'm not going to waste my words on falsity.
That's
But
right.
I will make one statement tonight that I think needs to be clear before I get put into the ground. Brian Higginbotham, who lives in my state, was part of the Fighting for Autism. He wants to go on David Potter's page and say that, I did this. No, the truth is going to come out. I had worked for them for years. And then they asked me to go to St. Charles and do an event. My wife decided to go with me, so they got me a hotel room. We went there. It was Skid Row. I had a prostitute hit on me before I could even get the damn door open. There was drug dealers laying in the parking lot. So I went to the event that night, and Jared Daniels Block, sir, you can go on the internet and talk all the crap in the world you want about me, bro. I met you one time. And I helped your photographer out that night, but you want to jump on and act like you've known me my entire career. You don't know me. So you little slant-eyed dwarf, I think you need to just keep your mouth shut a little bit there, bro. Because I can drive the 3 hours to St. Louis and give you a one-legged ass whooping. A dying man has nothing to lose. But let me get back to my point. So he goes and tells these people, I shot the fighting for I shot that fight that night with Bob, and then I went and did the fighting for because my wife was sick. They did put us in another hotel because I threatened to leave and come back to Springfield. And so he goes on a person's page and says that I did this, and you know what? That's
Yeah.
not true, bro. And he knows it. The bottom line is, you disrespect my wife, you can kiss my brown ass. And you tried to put my wife in a hotel with prostitutes and drug dealers, and only at the end of the night, when you found out I was coming back to Springfield, did you put us in a hotel that you were at. But then you want to tell people after I shot your whole day that little lie. The bottom line is, I told you to get bent because you were going to put my wife in a roach infested, prostitute infested hotel. And I don't get that part. But you know what? I'm not going to make my last show about it. I just wanted to clear that up because I love kids on the spectrum. I love helping people that are disabled because I'm on the spectrum. I'm disabled. But I'm not going to let a man like that ridicule me and tear me down. Like I said, my page is public. Why does everybody talk shit about me everywhere else but on my page? My page has been public since 2007. And that's probably one of your friends say, oh, here he goes. I'm not going to go there. I'm going to wrap things up.
Yeah.
But Vinny,
everybody,
what does it mean? What does it mean for you to watch, to understand, and to create this opportunity and this path for yourself in life with Kicking It with Vinny?
you know what? I just want to be real, and you've taught me two things tonight, especially. Don't let anybody get you excited about anything, because you know what? They're not even worth it. They're not worth it. That minute of anger or minute of I'm being happy. But what you've taught me is one thing. We're gonna make it right. We're gonna make it better, and people are gonna appreciate what we do. And guys like
Yeah.
you who've made the
Funny,
difference.
funny. I never worked for Jackson Wink, but oh wait, I forgot. You did a deep dive anyway, didn't you? See, that's a beauty. People will run their mouth or their fingers without any common sense. You did the right thing, bro.
Yeah.
You went back and looked at my whole walk, my whole life. You've watched every one of my shows. You see every correlation.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm still not as good as you. I may be one day, just not this fucking day.
Come
So,
on.
ladies and gentlemen, the future in the next aspect of the original fighter's voice is going to be changed to Kicking It with Vinny, but it's going to still be on the same format, the same studio. This man is incredibly talented. You know, go look up Kicking It with Vinny on YouTube and on the internet. Watch his show with Burt Watson,
And yourself.
and you're going to find that I was a rookie and he was a pro all the time.
It's not true.
Hey,
Thank you very much, buddy. I love you. You know
Hey,
what?
I love you, and I'll tell you what. I'll take one of those sandwiches from Vancouver, brother.
You got it, bro.
What would
Anytime.
you like to say? I'm gonna toss the mic to you before we wrap it up. What would you like to say to the people that helped create Vince Murdocco?
You know, so many people to thank. But family number one for me, my friend. It's all about family. And you know what? Without them, I'm nothing. And, you know, everything that I'm going to do is going to show the family and respect for people. And I got no time for negativeness. I got none. I'm at that stage of my life that if it's not positive, I don't want nothing to do with it. So everything I'm going to do is gonna be positive, and it'll make you smile. Um, you know, watching you, buddy, you're one in a billion. A billion. You established greatness, and you have taken no credit for it. And you know what? I'm here to tell people, Don, you're a great man. And time I got to know you, it's special. And
I just wish I didn't have to leave you, bro.
you never leave me. You're here. When you're in
You
my
know
heart,
what I mean.
you're in my heart, brother.
I'm gonna watch you from heaven, bro. I'll be with you from heaven.
Make
You
sure
know,
you keep the back door open.
these people are probably going, this dude's alive and he's talking.
No idea.
Not a freaking clue.
That's good though.
Uh-uh.
I'll let them know.
Well, it's the strength of my Lord and Savior. You know, if you can show me in the Bible where it says I can't cuss, then I'll stop. But I love my Lord and Savior more than life itself. You know, he brought me together with my family, you, and with all of these tremendous people in this industry.
Yeah.
You know, well, with that being said, man,
Amen.
you know, Vinny, this is going to be one of the most monumental shows that I've ever had in my life.
It made me cry twice. Fuck her.
Hey, when I made Daniel Cormier cry, he was so pissed off. He called me at 2 a.m. that night. Said, bro, what the fuck did you do to me? All I did was tell you your own story, but made you say it in your own words.
Love
You know, love you too. And to the sports, and to the fighters, and to everybody, God bless you.
God bless
And
you.
for me and my brother Vinny, Don McGuire, the original fighter's voice, signing out for the last time. You know what? Thank you for 42 and a half years of tremendous love, respect, and opportunity. Without you, neither one of us would exist. With that being said, good night.
God bless,
God
brother.
bless. For the last time, signing off.
You're the best, buddy.
You are too, brother. Love you.